Welcome back to our Ironsworn campaign. I am, of course, you can immediately tell I'm able to say our Ironsworn campaign. There's been a bit of a change around here. We can officially welcome back Blinkinfirefly to the fold on this. And right away, I want to talk about how tonight's session is going to be a little bit different. As a way to kind of address that Grae has been gone for these several sessions. I had an idea earlier today. I ran it by Blink, and we want to do what'll be almost like a bit of a flashback episode. Because we've been seeing everything from the perspective of my character, Flint, for last 3 sessions? I think 3, yeah. I think we've seen 3 sessions of Flint's perspective off on his own. It's like the first one started with us together, and then we parted ways during that session. And Flint has got himself into conundrums, but I really wanted to see, like, rather than just immediately put us back together and just assume it all worked out, I kind of want to see that journey. Like, what has Grae been going through since that moment where we parted, and how do we eventually get back together? So that's certainly the hope of this episode, as a bit of a reminder to reset the scene on that. So when last Flint and Grae were together, they had headed into these mines where there's the fortune teller inside. That the hope is to get some kind of info about this cataclysm that's going to affect this town and what can be done about it, and all sorts of stuff in that respect. That's where it started anyway, when we were first heading into these mines. And we had found out early on that one of the great dangers is that there's this kind of constant effect that's trying to draw you down towards sleep while you're in here. There's just this kind of magic aura that is always pulling you down, making those lids heavy. It wants you to fall asleep. And now, in the session since then, we've discovered a little bit more about what that means and what happens when you do fall asleep, and just what kind of dangerous place it can become. But so anyway, we were exploring this place. I believe I had even communicated, like I had looked beyond the veil and told you a little bit about how, like, there's these what we're calling dream stalkers beyond the veil. Like, there's another world here. We're in the physical world, but this place, there's a thin barrier between more magical dream reality, and there are monsters in that dark. So anyway, Flint had told you a little bit about that, and not long into our journeying together, we reached this, like, I believe there was, like, oh yes, it was this precipice, like this big, it opened up over, like in inside Morio, where Gandalf fights with the Balrog, and it can just, like, tumble down for just like miles and miles.
Whoa, one of those.
Yeah, so it was this overlook for that kind of room. Like, it just went down forever, but there was this map that was on the edge of it, and Flint saw you go to, like, try and get that map, but then, like, the earth crumbled, and you fell down this hole. And while he, like, called out to you, pretty quickly gave up on any kind of hope that he could save you and just kind of moved on. Now, what we found out was that this was all, like, he had fallen asleep. This was a dream he was having. It wasn't real. But you, as an outsider, saw his kind of reactions to how he abandoned you. And it did not go well. Flint wound up trying to go down the he secured a rope to try and go down this precipice to see if he could find a shortcut to some other place. Now, I guess you are here to... You are your character, so you can say if this sounds like it was something you would do or not, but we ruled that because some bad rolls of dice, you had actually been pretty mad at me for kind of abandoning you emotionally very quickly and, like, undone the rope. This could also be something that didn't actually happen. It could have been that the ropes or whatever. If that doesn't feel true to what you would have done. Now that you're here to speak for yourself.
Okay, so I just need to be clear what exactly happened. I'm seeing Flint, like I'm in danger, and I'm seeing Flint abandon me. Or...
No, see, so what wound up happening was like, I thought you were in danger. Like you were just kind of awake. Like it was almost like you saw me having like sleepwalking and talking about what was happening.
Oh, so he's talking it out.
Yeah, like I'm kind of you get an awareness of what's happening just from the outside and like how clearly I did not do a lot to try and save you in that moment.
So
I was kind of a little I was a little bit more selfish in that moment and just moved on.
Okay.
And so the way we rolled it before was that indeed like you were responsible for the rope snapping and able to catch myself and talked it out, and you lowered a new rope, but it was the condition that we had to part ways. It was the result of various like I had to wait for like the count of 30 to climb up the rope so that by the time I could get up there you would just be gone, because it was a betrayal sort of thing. So that was when we our characters together as a way of kind of we were looking for a way to make sure that kind of write you out of it. It kind of made sense at the time with how the roles were going.
Gotcha.
Okay. It was a convenient way to get us to kind of separate.
Okay. So whatever reason, Flint chickened out and ran away in this dreamlike state.
Yeah, kind of just stopped trying to way too quickly trying to do anything to help you. So you saw that and don't really trust me anymore as a, or at least the way we interpreted then. Again, it's your character. The way we interpreted it at the time was that you didn't really have that trust anymore to adventure together, and you preference to just go off on your own. Now we didn't see where you went because again, like part of the deal was that I had to wait long enough that you had gone away, so I don't know which direction you went. I don't know if you stayed, if you whole mine system or abandoned it entirely. That's what today's session is going to be about. Let's figure out what happened since that moment that we didn't see. What's been going on with Grae, and hopefully get to the point where we find each other. Now, that's going to be a little bit tricky because as a reminder of a little bit of what's happened with Flint, then of what we're going to have to overcome to indeed get us back together. Flint kept exploring for a while, went through all sorts of challenges, but most importantly, wound up being eaten alive by these mutinous monsters, and due to this magical item he had found and was holding on to, and losing consciousness from the loss of blood, has transitioned fully into that dream world where he no longer has a living body, but his essence is alive in this nightmarish dream realm.
Wow.
So in order to get back together, we're going to have to find a way for you to not only get to the right kind of area, which that I'm not worried as much about. Like, it's all abstract. Like, once it makes sense, we can just happen to find each other. Like, that's not as big of a deal. So it's not like I have a map of exactly where I went anyway. But the bigger issue is, how do we get this to be a way where you're aware of that presence on the other side? And maybe it's going to be the type of thing where I'm going to have to manipulate that a bit, because with my sightedness, I've been a little bit more aware of both sides at the same time. So Flint might be aware of you, and it might be the type of thing where somehow he's going to have to get your attention, and we'll have to find a way to communicate.
Now, are we pretty deep in these caves? Like, was there a lot of twists and turns? And
well, when the moment of separation happened, no, it was not all that far in. We had gone through a couple of passages. We had passed through like a room where we had found these now long dead corpses of people that looked like they in positions where they fell asleep and then they just like decayed because they just never woke up. We had kind of a room of some miners like that. And then I think it was, like, I don't remember perfectly, but I think it was relatively shortly after that we found that opportunity of, like, oh, there's a map, and then the whole separation thing. The map turned out to be this whole dream thing, so it didn't actually happen. But anyway, with all of that preamble out of the
Yeah.
way, let's open up the character sheet and get into the actual rolling and making it all happen. So,
Okay.
I guess here's the first question. Question number one. Do you think that's all at least close enough to decisions your character would have made that we're okay with that version of how things happen? Or are there things we want to kind of tweak now that we've got you here?
I'm back. Hi, Wick. Yeah, I think that sounds, I mean,
Reasonable enough?
yeah,
Okay.
sounds like about how it would go. And I think I would just probably start making my way out if
Yeah,
I'm
so
like, well, screw that guy.
okay, so that was indeed question number two was so you think that your impulse at that point would be to then just because we weren't that far in, like just head back out?
Yeah, I think I'd start making my way out.
Okay. Um
Actually, I don't know. Because if I was suspecting he was in a dreamlike state, maybe I would think that he was under some kind of spell.
so what if like you're at first you're leaving, but kind of in the process of going out, like
Yeah.
you start having these second thoughts, but we're like already too far separated at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And her partner's
maybe
dead, kind of.
maybe that thought occurs to you. It's like, what if?
I think that's, yeah. I think in my initial feelings are those deep-seated childhood feelings of abandonment, like
Right,
of, because, Grae is adopted essentially, and she
that's right.
her family, so maybe she just like that was her first instinct. But then she's like, wait, she starts turning things over in her
You want to
head,
save it.
and yeah, and maybe he was under some kind of spell. Maybe it was that sorcerer or whoever's in
Yeah. So
we were supposed to meet.
in order to like properly serve your character and make sure that like mechanically you're getting all the nice things that you deserve and like we get experience and stuff, this seems like a great moment for you to swear a vow about like getting us back together or like refinding me and saving me from this spell or whatever, like something along those lines. Again, I don't want to like feed you vows, but like completing
Yeah,
vows is the way that you actually get experience and get to advance as a character. So like whenever possible, if it's something that you feel like you want to pursue as a character, it makes sense to make it at least some kind of vow.
okay. Does it have to be right now, or is it
It's most beneficial to do it now, just so that as we're
okay?
making progress on it, and you're most likely to complete it. Because like anything you do towards that general goal before you have the vow, it's not really going to count. So it's just
Okay.
going to be more work if you put it off.
Okay. So then, all right. So I'll just swear a vow.
Because
I swear
so
to find out what happened to Flint.
okay. So to find out what happened, which is definitely an interesting phrasing of it because like it's that phrasing and makes it clear
Or
like
is
you
it?
well because it makes it clear you haven't decided like whether or not we're cool because you don't know what happens. Like it's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
about like getting there's a window open where you might forgive me or whatever, but it's not
yeah. I
about
need to know for sure.
you haven't just been like, oh, I acted too hastily. I need to mend things. I need to find out. Well,
Yeah.
let's make that a vow. So in this game, when you make vows, you swear on a piece of iron. Would that just be like? Because I know you have a sword. You would just like swear on your sword, or is there some other kind of like thing you've been carrying around with you that
Yeah, I think it would be with the sword. The handle. It's probably made of a
yeah,
bit of iron and
or
whatnot.
or at the very least has
So
some kind of iron stud or there's some exposed piece of iron just for this purpose. Or
yeah.
all right, so you said your vow is to find out what happened to Flint.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me type that up on your sheet real quick. Put that in. Find out what happened to Flint. And display that. There we go. So we need to set a rank for this. In real life terms, we're really kind of deciding like how long of a process do we want this to be? Like how much game time do we expect it to take up? Um, I would suggest either like kind of there's troublesome, dangerous, formidable, extreme, and epic. I would suggest either dangerous or formidable, just so like there's definitely a number of things you'll have to do to kind of like work towards that.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be like, oh, this is going to be sessions and sessions and sessions of working on it. Let's give you a formidable challenge. I think that's good enough where like there's a chance we might be able to work through that this session. But actually, okay, no, considering that we have explicitly have this goal of like I'd really like to get our characters back together by the end of this session. With that meta consideration in mind, should probably make it dangerous, just so it's all the more likely that we'll almost certainly get to the end of this session. So that'll happen twice as quickly. Let me... Oh, it's already on dangerous, so we're good on that. Cool. So, we gotta have you make a move then. So this is the move when you swear on iron, the swear and iron vow. So, when you swear upon iron to complete a quest, write your vow and give your quest a rank. We've already done all that. Vow, getting the band back together. Exactly. Basically. Well, except not exactly that. Because, again, the important of the phrasing is not necessarily getting the band back together. It depends on what she discovers along the way. But at least figure out what happened to the band. If you make this vow to a person or a community with whom you share a bond, you get to add +1, but you're just kind of making it to yourself. So we're going to have you roll plus heart. And
plus heart.
Now, traditionally, every single session, I'm pretty sure, the first roll of the game has been a miss. But, who knows? This could finally be the one to break that pattern. We've got the spotlight on your character this time a little bit more, so maybe Grae will have a little bit better of luck at getting things rolling. Let us see.
Hold on, do I have my die generator?
Oh, you got it? Okay, cool.
If you... Yeah.
Also, I realized something that your supply was a little bit higher than... I believe your supply was at +3, and mine has gone down a little bit more. When we're together, we share a supply, but since you're on your own right now, I think it makes sense that your supply is just your own personal one. And then if we ever get back together, then we'll just go default to like, we'll just like average our 2 supplies and go from there.
Okay. You want me to roll a d20 for the...
No, so this is going to be a roll a d6. You're going to add your heart to it, which is 3.
Okay.
And let
d6.
And then we'll need to roll 2 d10s.
All right. So I rolled a 2 for the d6.
Okay. So we got a 5 as your action result. And then
d10, I got a 9 and a 1.
Okay. So that's a weak hit. You were better than one of them, not better than the other one. Hey, not bad. On a weak hit, you're determined, but begin your quest with more questions than answers, which makes a lot of sense. Of course you don't know. You don't know where I went. You take +1 momentum and envision what you want to do to have a path forward. So basically, it's the default assumption of swearing an iron vow. You just don't get the bonus of like, oh no, you really know exactly how to begin this. And narratively, that makes the most sense anyway. So let me adjust your momentum upwards. So yeah, you make this vow somewhere halfway between the somewhere between where we left off and like the mouth of this mine. You know, maybe it was in the actually, so one of the things that we've been looking at since you were last here, there's kind of a supplement to this game called Delve, which is all about it. We've been using it to explore this mine because it's all about kind of like dungeon delving and exploring these like big interesting places to make that a little bit more of like a process. Gives a few more rules to it. And one of the things that it allows us to do is find out a little bit more about like, where are you right now? Like, what kind of place is this in the mine? So let's find out, like, what are your surroundings like right now?
Okay.
So this is a corrupted mine. And I'm just going to roll a D100 right now to find out, just get some features of like, Where are you? We have a 2. Ooh, so this is actually a place that is, it's more about the fact that it's corrupted than the fact that it's a mine. So this room has some kind of mystic forces or conduit in it. So maybe there's a chance, in order to make sense of this, like, because we didn't pass that on the way in, but maybe you got, I don't want to say that you got turned around. I think it's more like, maybe you spotted something glowing or something that like caught your attention and drew you towards it to investigate.
Okay.
Because I don't want to make it like, oh, you were crappy and you got lost. Like, no, it should be an active decision that happened. Yeah, like some kind of, because I think when we were going through initially, we were going through pretty hastily. Maybe you were just going through a little bit more slowly and happened to see like a secret passageway or something and investigate. All right, I'm going to use some oracles here. Let's find out like what kind of conduit is this? Because this could be a great opportunity to learn all sorts of things, depending on what it is. I'm going to roll on the theme table to find out, like, get some inspiration for what this might be like. Path, and I'm going to roll on the action table. We'll see how these combine. Destroy. Huh.
Destroy.
Yeah, so something about this kind of mystic focus that you got is related to, yeah, destroy and path. And this is pretty much towards the beginning of the mine, so it makes me think about how, like, maybe this is related to trying to, like, ward off this place in a way. Like, what if what you found used to be a longer path, and the reason why it's so hard to spot, like, it's trying to cover up. Like, maybe this went somewhere before that was deemed dangerous. Like, or even, like, yeah, so I'm seeing, like, what if we see, like, this door that's been, like, sealed off somehow, like there's just runes all around it, and if you were to try to open the door, you'd find, like, it doesn't even, like, shake in the latches. It's stuck in place, like, magically. Like, you can almost feel the like the kind of aura that's keeping it entirely motionless, and there's something behind that door, and you can probably even see in non-magical runes just text that just says above the door, like, some kind of danger warning, like what lies beyond is forever damned, like something like that. That's kind of ominous but not specific.
Maybe there's, like, skulls on there or something.
Yeah, like like painted in some way. Or do you mean like actual physical skulls?
Yeah, it could be actual. I was thinking more like carvings.
Okay.
Of, like,
that was more what I had in mind too. Was like symbolically there were skulls, like warning, no dogs allowed. Yeah,
skulls
exactly.
and skeletons.
The dogs have been peeing all over the place. They're not allowed here anymore.
Oh yeah, that makes that makes me wonder. Did we bring the horse in?
So
Or
I did not consider us to have our animals with us, particularly with as far in as I wound up going. Like, there were places where it just did not make sense that my raven could follow. So my raven's outside. I assumed your horse was as well, if for no other reason than horses don't do too well in mines. There's
yeah.
This is actually the second time I've gotten to say this little fact that am aware of this week in context of a role-playing game. So there's a reason that you take donkeys into mines instead of horses, apparently. Apparently, horses are way too skittish, and as you go down a slope, if their ears happen to touch the ceiling, they'll freak out and whip their head back and, like, brain themselves on the ceiling. And so donkeys are more chill. They don't do that. So horses don't tend to go into mines because they get freaked out too easily if they happen to, like, graze the ceiling. So I've heard anyway. I don't know if that's true, but so all that being said, we're playing a fantasy game. Your horse doesn't have to be... Your horse is like a special horse. If you want your horse with you, you don't have to have left it behind. We can determine that it's it's one that won't get freaked out so easily, especially with it being a mighty horse, as we have described. Like, yours is more combat trained. Like, it's not going to freak out the same way.
Oh yeah, he has a name. He has a name now.
Oh,
it's
awesome.
it's Thornberry.
Thornbury? Okay.
Thornberry, yeah.
The only thing to keep in mind is, of course, that'll mean that depending on what you encounter in here, it'll limit, like, some places just might be trickier to navigate a horse through than a human.
Yeah.
But, especially as you go down.
Waiting outside.
Okay. It's, like, tied up somewhere, or just left to graze, I guess. Okay. So, this is the room anyway when you have this thought. Maybe it's maybe it's seeing this ominous message that turns those thoughts around. That's like, there might be other forces at play here. Like this is a dark room. Like, you can feel there's some bad magic going on with these wards and what's behind it. So maybe that's what's making you have second thoughts about leaving me behind.
Yeah. I definitely don't want to leave you to any evils to take over. Yeah. I think is there anything else that makes me think there's something behind the door? Like, do I hear something like whispering, or
let's determine.
I'm imagining hearing whispers, or like maybe some kind of strange humming, or
let's just make it so. Sure. That sounds cool to me. Yeah, there's like speech behind, like it sounds. Yeah, like it sounds like there's something alive back there that's calling to your attention.
Okay.
I get this feeling like it's not like literal sound in the air, but it's like you can hear it in your mind type of thing. And maybe when you're experiencing that, there's no real functional difference, but like in the physics of the world, I feel like it's more this magical thing you're hearing than something that's literally present in the environment. Something that the voice, is like calling for freedom.
Okay. All right. So I sense this, I hear it, and I'm like, the skulls are definitely throwing me off. Like, I'm like, that means danger, and I do not want to
universal danger
go behind I really don't want to know what's past that door, but I do want to find Flint and figure out what exactly was going on with him. And did I see his body get destroyed?
That was long after we parted ways, so that's all something like we as like the audience know what eventually happened to me, but it probably hasn't even happened yet in the world.
All right.
We haven't been parted for long enough.
I just think it's just, even though I saw him betray me in that dreamlike state, I don't believe it. I'm more and more strongly believing that something was awry. He's in danger. I have to get behind this door. So I start searching the door. Is there like anything on it that seems like?
Let's find out. This sounds like a good opportunity. Good opportunity to make a gather information roll, because basically you're searching an area, asking questions, conducting an investigation, or following a track. Like you're using your wits to try and figure out like can you get some info out of this? So really the question that we're trying to answer is, like, is there some way to get this door unsealed, basically?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we're gonna have you roll with adding your wits, and we'll see what happens. So your wits are indeed a +2.
Okay. Oh, am I rolling?
I'm more than happy to. Is like I've got quick ways to roll. I just didn't want to deny you the opportunity if you wanted to.
Okay.
But I've got it as easy as just like a button click over here if you want it.
Okay.
And then
go for it.
Then it'll show up in the in the little window down below. I just don't want to like rolling dice is fun, and I don't want to deny you being able to do it. But
no, it's okay.
All right, here we go. Here's your wits, and let's see what happens. All right. Well, while we did break the cycle of not having the miss be the first roll of the game, we do now have a miss right now. Unfortunately,
Darn it!
you rolled the lowest on the action die. The challenge dice were a little bit higher, and we have a miss here. But hey, sometimes misses can be even more interesting than hits. Because on a miss, your investigation unearths a dire threat or reveals an unwelcome truth that undermines your quest. Pay the price. Now, I don't think this is the type of pay the price where like you're gonna get like hurt or something. Like that just doesn't make sense in the narrative. But there's something that you gotta find. There's something that you find out here that it says undermines your quest. So I feel like it would be the type of thing where it would either like you learn something that makes you not want to open the door, like makes it all the more clear what the danger is, or if we take that in a more literal sense of undermines your quest, like your quest is about finding out what happened to me, it might be something that oh yeah, I do have an idea actually. Except no, it doesn't really make sense. I had this vision of like you getting close and investigating this door and it like suddenly opening and like something pulling you through. But I don't know that like the way we described it as being specifically like warded to keep something behind it, unless that was another just like hallucination type thing, that just doesn't make sense. And I don't want to constantly be establishing things and then undermining it saying, oh, it was just a dream, because that's going to get tired really quick. Not what I meant by tired, but so yeah, what could you learn that adds a complication to this? Well, since I'm at least running a little bit low on ideas, this would be another good time to roll on the tables, get some inspiration here. I'm going to try... I actually kind of think in a way, I was about to roll something and then I had an idea. In a way, it might actually be something of an undermining of your quest. What if like you're investigating everything and making some more noises, and then something on the other side does hear you and starts speaking like actually out loud. Like you hear it's like a human, not whispers or anything, but like a human voice like pleading with you. And I'm trying to think of ways that this will like stall you. Or not stall, because that's boring, but like complicate this. Okay. Never mind. Let's just go a little bit more direct with it. Like, let's say you do find something that you're like studying these runes and glyphs and kind of pictograms of what's going on, and determine like how this works. Like you figure out that like with something magical like this, no doubt you could break this ward and get it open by indeed like marring these glyphs and breaking things in such a way that they're just disrupted and the magic is gone. But if you're doing it that directly, like if you don't have just like magical abilities to kind of like dispel it in a more elegant way, like you could break it, but there's probably going to be a big backlash, and it could be
I was thinking
very painful.
Yeah, I was thinking that the door somehow harmed me in some way, like that as well. Like maybe my hands were on it.
Oh yeah, it got too close, and it like almost like you touched an electric fence kind of thing.
Yeah, like maybe it starts, I don't know, burning me or
Okay.
I don't know.
I mean, we could definitely do that. We could have you pay the price in that classic way of like, yeah, like could be that this ward is you're not supposed to touch that ward, and you did, and that certainly makes sense. And that's really easy to implement. We can just have you,
or I could start hitting it with my sword or something happens.
You could. Well, let's give you that hit to the health then. So, okay. I don't think it's too bad. I think it's just the one health hit of just like, ow, like it's enough to tell you like, don't do that. Like you don't want to touch this thing. Which prompts an endure harm roll. We'll see how well do you take that sort of thing. So we need you to roll either health or iron, whichever is higher. I believe your iron is 1, your health is 2. So we're gonna roll with a +2 and see like how well do you take that sort of hit. Do you just shrug it off, or what happens? So I'm going to tell this to roll with your wits just because that's the same as your health. Okay. It's got a weak hit, which nothing special. It just you took the damage and you shrug it off as you're fine, but
so it burns me a little bit.
it burns you a little bit. Like you probably recoil that hand back. I mean, I guess you tell me what it looks like.
Yeah, I just imagine it does scald me a little bit, like I was touching some of the skulls, kind of like tracing my fingers along it.
Yeah.
Maybe pushing on it a little bit, and maybe I see it glow a little bit.
I mean, of course, we know that
my hands.
Your hands themselves also have their own magic to them. Like they glow, and we're
yeah,
learning about
maybe
them.
it didn't like that.
Yeah, what if
maybe it sensed that.
I was gonna say, what if this wouldn't necessarily harm just anybody, but because you've got a little bit more, it's almost like shorting the circuit. Like the magic in your hands is making it react in a way that, like, whereas most people would just be like, oh, the door, like you can't get through it. Yours, like, it's a little bit more. It's almost like it set off a firework type of thing. So like you learn that you're reacting with the door due to the magic in your hands, but it's not a good thing.
Okay. Just like pull back and like
Yeah.
Like that was weird.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm not gonna do that again.
But you did also learn, indeed, like, yeah, if you wanted to, you could probably just like break this shit, but it would likely have similar kinds of like consequences where the magic would probably not like that, and who knows what would happen. But but it's a possibility, and it's what you learn by investigating them. But this also, it wasn't the way that we had, like, the path we had taken before wasn't here. Remember, this is like a side thing you saw. So, like, at the very least, there's no expectation that I would necessarily be, like, behind that door. It's just an interesting door.
Maybe I could shout out your name.
Oh, to try and, like, try and find me?
See if you're behind there.
Okay. Let's see.
I feel like I would do that. I would just be like, Flint!
I think in this case, though, like, since, again, like, I've kind of played out the last few sessions of what happened with Flint, like, I just know for a fact that's he's not behind there, and so like, I don't think there's really any need to roll on that. It's just like you do this, but there's no response.
Okay.
We know what happened to him, and it wasn't there.
Should I move on then?
It's up to you, but if that's your choice, certainly can.
I don't know, because I'm trying to figure out, can I make my hands glow?
Well, that's something we can certainly is kind of working on that. You'll discover the meaning behind your glowing hands. Like we're still figuring that out. We've got the little bit there, but
so maybe I don't touch the door, but I like hold my hand out to it.
I'll like get it
and
close.
See if I can get my hand to glow. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I like that. Yeah, use this opportunity to work on that first background vow. Like, let's learn about your hands. That sounds like a face danger to me, because it's all about judging, like, how close. Like, make sure you don't get too close, but it's got to be. I see this as kind of like you'd probably have to thread a little bit of a needle there to make that happen. But it totally seems possible to me. So I think, yeah, when you attempt something risky or react to an imminent threat, envision your action and roll. So we've kind of envisioned what you're doing here. This sounds like speed, agility, or precision to me. Like just very much how we describe, like the precision of exactly how to hold your hands out to, because it's probably not just about like getting it there, but then keeping it steady. Because like maybe it's kind of like a glow that grows over time, and like if you can trace it over, who knows?
I think I just aim for the center of the door. There's like a centerpiece design.
Yeah.
That looks pretty cool and ominous, and I just aim for that.
All right. Well, thankfully,
hold my hand like a couple inches from it.
Yeah, and thankfully, edge is something you're pretty good at. So,
yay!
Let's see what you can do. See how well you can indeed kind of force out the magic of your hands to glow a little bit brighter, and maybe maybe find something out with it. There we go. Strong hit.
Oh.
Didn't need a help. So on a strong hit, you are successful at, like, you're able to do what you want to do, which is indeed, like, trigger these hands to start glowing in a meaningful way, and you're going to get the +1 momentum. I think that would qualify for another, like, if we can turn this into you learning something about it, like your hands start glowing, and then, you know, ... like, let's see, what can we make you to learn from this? What do we learn about your hands? Because I'd love to give an opportunity to give you another kind of milestone on the, like, discovering the meaning behind your glowing hands, but just making them glow doesn't really seem like it qualifies. But if something can happen as a result of that, which we've got some tables that could help with that. There's certainly the Mystic Backlash table, which might give an idea. Like, I don't want it to be, like, harmful, but it might inspire something. And any results that seem a little bit too much, we can obviously ignore. But let's see. We got... You affect or damage your surroundings, causing a disturbance or potential harm. So, well, actually, that makes a lot of sense. So, like, we know it harmed you, and what if your hands got, like, close enough that they started, like, glowing more and more, and, like, the glow kind of expands, and then the glow itself comes more in contact with this barrier, and so that, like, magical damaging energy kind of starts, like, swirling around your hands and arcing outwards, and goes into, like, against the wall and, like, blasts some rocks out. And we get to find out how, like, there's ways that your hands can convert, surround, like, draw out other energies, and, like, it reacts with them. Like, there's it's not just the one thing, because we've seen them, they had like a healing effect before, I believe.
Yeah.
But we're seeing that's not all there is to them. Like, they also just, they can draw in from the environment somehow. And right now the environment is very hostile and damaging. And so, yeah, like, unless you see something differently, I think, yeah, it's just like this almost like lightning energy that like really quickly just keeps swirling around your head until, like, there's just so much it can't be contained. It, like, breaks away and, like, smashes against the wall and, like, explodes out some rubble that you have to kind of, like, duck from a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that happening because I don't have control over it.
Exactly.
And
it's all very wild.
Yeah.
Well, let's give you the another mark of progress on that first vow.
Okay.
Convert that into a fully ticked box. There we go. Nicely done. So I guess here's the thing. As a suggestion, I think there is a way. It would probably take its own face danger move to actually, you got a strong hit on that. So I think we can make that better for you. I was going to say if you make, like, another roll, then this thing could happen, but I was like, that should probably just be the results of this roll you already made. It was a strong hit. What if instead of hitting that wall, like, it didn't only hit the wall, that was one of the arcs, but, like, it kept going, and you were also able to, like, get that energy to go right back at the barrier itself and dissipate it.
Okay.
Or at least, or damage
the door.
Yeah, well, the, like, kind of magical barrier that's keeping it closed.
Okay.
I think either
I think
either destroy it entirely, or at least, like, it clearly damaged it enough that maybe you could do it again. Like, what's your thing?
I almost feel like it disabled the magic that was holding.
Yeah, I buy that.
That door shut.
So yeah, you, like, managed to arc it back on itself and shut itself down, and you can just feel almost like this pop in the air as, like, there's a pressure change, as clearly something that was there before is no longer there. And
yeah, like, I don't hear that aura,
the hum
in my subconscious. Yeah,
and maybe even, like, there's kind of almost like a very faint sort of, like, creak sound as, like, the door now actually is pulling its own weight down on the hinges, whereas before, like, it was in this like stasis, and now that the magic is gone, it kind of like settles a little bit. And if you're like really perceptive, you might notice that kind of subtle noise of like, oh, it's under its own weight now. Like, so it's different.
Yeah. Now it's natural.
Exactly. Well, suffice it to say, if you want to see what's behind the door, I think you can get behind there now.
All right. I'm going to try for it.
Again, like, I don't see anything else in the way, so I think opening the door is no problem. The important thing is finding out like what's beyond it. Oh, and I think this was definitely, if now that you're beyond this door, actually no, I was gonna say it was a mark of progress towards finding out what happened to Flint, but that's not at all.
Oh, it's not.
I don't. I think it might lead to things that do, but I don't think this alone, like, I don't think we've necessarily made progress on that because we haven't we haven't learned anything about Flint through it.
True.
I think it may indeed get you closer to like take you along a path and get to where he winds up, but that alone doesn't feel like a milestone for it.
Okay.
But yeah, I think so. Let's see. It's this door that's supposed to be holding back us kind of danger inside. There's a dark magic within. And so when you open it up, it's got to be like, I feel like that's got almost like there's a wave in the air of some kind of like either like a putrid sense or like just a feeling of unease or something as the door is released and
like stale air.
Yeah. And just this, I think first things first, it is utterly black in there. Like,
I don't like that.
like there's no light source. You can bring one in, but there is just,
glowing hands.
There's just this, oh, that's true. I mean, I guess, yeah, if you keep your hands glowing, you could have some dim light from that. That makes sense. But it descends in this tunnel of it's cold in there, and let's see, let's find out, because presumably you're kind of heading down this tunnel a little bit to let's find out what the next kind of interesting thing that you discover in there is. I'm gonna roll again on the like. There's something or someone that's being kept inside very purposely. And the theme of this one is language. Okay. And falter. That brings to mind the idea of something very ancient to me. Like so ancient to have like a long lost language, like this, like a dead language, or something in here that would speak a dead language is what that kind of conjures in my mind. Now, one of the last things we learned about this in the last session, this entire mine, we got some details about the history of it through this kind of series of like hieroglyphs on this one wall that showed that this was once a place that was the broken people that now roam this landscape. There was once a time where they were like slaves to this dwarven king in this mine, who was this utter tyrant and executed all sorts of people needlessly in their pursuit of what they thought of as justice. And I'd love to kind of tie it into all of that, like that history a little bit.
Ancient dwarvish.
That this used to be this dwarven mine. And that there's something being locked away here as like... So what if this was like dwarven... Like this magic dates back to then. Like, you know, many, 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 many generations ago. It was like the dwarves that sealed something off in here. So it would be something that probably that dwarven king saw as like needing to be kept away, like some threat.
Maybe some kind of relic. Oh, a threat.
What's that?
I was thinking like maybe some kind of relic, but maybe it has to be alive if it speaks a language. Or...
I did think of like a what if there were this I mean it could be somehow just being kept alive. Oh, you know what? I actually had a thought earlier today that I think could really tie into this, and this would be a good way to express it. Because I was trying to think, like, why is this place, like, what's with the dream thing here? How did that happen? What corrupted this place?
Oh, yeah.
And I think this could tie into it. So, I had this idea of this, like, ancient wizard that had been, like, maybe he was a threat to these dwarves or something. Like he was seen as an enemy and kept prisoner here in this mine for in being held for something, or for whatever reason he was trapped here in these mines, the cave system. And I had this idea like he was very badly wounded and like on the brink of death, but was able to kind of like delay that through magic in this sort of like entering this kind of stasis where like he put himself into a sleep and like set out a call for like it was this magical call for help that would like draw people in to try and help him. But due to like some being wounded and not casting the spell quite right, the spell like as instead of drawing them to him like his body, like it's that the people that are here are drawn into where he is now, which is asleep. And it made this really cool. It kind of made this magical dream world that like is being perpetuated by his like he's still just sleeping in this section of the mine like for like eternity. Like he's staying asleep.
He's just
like trying to find
making everyone else fall asleep.
And it's making everybody else fall asleep. And because there's this kind of magical sleep world that he created through this magic spell, over time it's just gotten more and more corrupted and dark, and magical entities have started like kind of living off of that environment. So you get these things like the dream stalkers that are like formed out of that magic that now subsist as like predators in this world.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's crazy.
I think you should totally find the like it should lead you to the prison where this sleeping wizard is being kept. Now,
okay.
I don't think it's just like right there beyond the door. That's probably just one of the layers, because I think the dwarves would see him as like a tremendous threat. It was probably like this wing was barricaded because like the sleep effects were starting to happen and they were afraid of it and they thought they could stop it, but it was able to permeate through the door anyway.
Maybe they were able to get another wizard to create a magic door, and then
yeah,
but it just wasn't enough.
It just no matter their efforts, it wasn't enough to hold it back, and the dwarves probably all fell into this nightmare realm. But there could be a prison beyond here, like just this single. Actually, yeah, I don't think it's a single jail. So I think this would lead to where the dwarves kept their prisoners.
Okay.
And first off, I think this should be a tick towards find out what happened to Flint, because we know that Flint is indeed in this dream world. If you discover this wizard, I think, even though you haven't put the pieces together yet, I think this is a milestone to getting that.
Okay.
So let's give you some progress on that. Like, we as the audience kind of are able to connect these dots, and so we can see how they might start spinning together. So yeah, so like led by the light of these glowing hands, you find this kind of line, like the shaft goes down a little bit, and then it opens up into this, like kind of there's a T intersection where there's just lines of cells, and I think you probably see a lot of like more of the like long decomposed bodies that are like stuck in positions like trying to get out of the bars.
Oh god.
And like, so there's like not skeletons, but just like decayed and like rigid sorts of remains that like it's weird. It's like they were struggling to escape, but at the same time, like I guess once you're dead, I'm trying to think of ways that it could also be clear that like they like fell asleep in the process.
Yeah.
Where it's like so like their arms are through the bars, but then it's like slumped in a way like they just collapsed there, and then
Yeah.
died in that position.
That makes sense.
But then there's this one cell that just has like there's like a body that's like holding on to this gaping wound, um, but is otherwise like kind of on the floor in a bit of a like fetal position. Um, yeah, and is wearing far fancier clothes. Like we get all sorts of like. What do you think? What are some ways that we might be able to tell like this one's special? Like this is the wizard.
I think it definitely looks more vibrant than all the other figures
Oh, and
around.
of course, like he's
And
still alive. I guess that's the main thing. It's not a
yeah.
dead body.
Yeah.
He's in this stasis, but he's not rotting
Mhm.
and like ancient. He's not turning to
Right.
dust. So, duh, that would be the first thing. Is this one is still just like a physical living body that's like you can see the wizard just like slowly breathing in and out like the you can see the chest rise and fall behind these bars and these very simple not very nice cells that just give you just enough room to kind of exist and go to sleep and maybe eat something and fill up a chamber pot that they probably then just like kick back over in your cell. Like it smells pretty bad in here.
Ugh.
um and yeah, what do you do with that information?
Well, first of all I know is I'm terrified at seeing those figures because like I've just never seen anything like it, and um, but something keeps telling me to keep going. I'm holding my hand up to my mouth, like trying to keep the smell, but it's not working at all.
God,
And when
yeah,
I
it gets
see,
through.
and then I guess I see. So I see the wizard.
Let's see if I can. I want
Um.
to get a. I'm gonna roll on a table to get a bit of a description for this person.
Okay,
Let's see here. Character description.
but I don't know
All
he's a
right, all
wizard,
right.
so I
These tend
just
to be
see this
more like
guy.
more
This old man.
personality descriptions, not physical ones. Like timid. It's like, well, he's asleep. So, um,
Oh yeah, this is sweet. Okay.
um, yeah. I mean, we can go with the classics here. I'm getting kind of like a Rasputin from Anastasia kind of vibe from him. Like, I don't think he looks like a very nice person. Uh, Bald
Oh.
headed. In that, like, if he were drawn, like, he would look villainous, but like bald
Hmm.
headed. He's got kind of like liver spots and stuff. He's definitely got some age, bony hands, threadbare kind of just uh clothes that he's wearing that are very frayed at the edges of like his sleeves, tied together
Yeah.
uh with just this fraying rope. Probably not given a lot in there. They
Because he's been there a while.
Yeah, oh, exactly. His clothes are probably that would be great. So like he's asleep and his body's being preserved, but maybe his clothes aren't, and like they've just been
Mm.
decaying with age. So like, yeah, like his clothes look way older than him. Like they look like they're practically like you could smash them. Like they've just gotten so dried out and like aged that they're so just thin and hard and they look like they could just crumble.
Like paper mache.
Yeah, in a way. And you probably can tell that by just when he breathes, like the clothes just any amount that they move is just like very rigidly. There's no
Mm.
like rise in the cloth or anything. It's just like it's weird. And yeah. Otherwise I think this area is probably short of like at least at first glance, it's a dead end. Like these are the jail cells, but it doesn't otherwise lead anywhere else. Maybe it does, and you haven't found it, but like I
Mhm.
think it was just like this is where they keep all these prisoners.
Okay. So I see this man and I call out to him, trying to wake him. I just say, "Excuse me, sir," like loudly,
Okay.
and
I
try to wake him.
I want to determine randomly because I don't have the answer to this, but like let's randomly determine whether or not he can be awoken, like just kind of in regular means like that, or if it's going to take something more. Um, we're gonna just assign maybe like how likely that seems, and we're gonna roll on that. Um, I
Okay.
let's see, where is the thing I'm looking for? I definitely get the vibe that it's probably like maybe that works, but it feels like the type of thing where it's probably going to require like there's hey, magic got him into this mess. Magic will probably have to get him out somehow. So like it seems of the less
I mean,
likely
I just
possibilities.
my character wouldn't know that. Like I
Oh no,
just figured out
exactly.
like,
That's why I'm
like,
just figuring out as players like let's find out the answer. Like will that work or not? Like
okay.
is
Yeah,
this the
because I'm just
process
like
where
I
you
don't.
find out that that won't work or will it actually just work and it's simpler than we expected? Um,
Maybe the magic's that worn that you just like
Maybe like it's been going on for a long time. So I don't think that's likely, but I want to at least give it a chance. Like why not? Um,
Okay.
so I'm looking for. Let's see about how likely do we think that? I think there's probably like a 1 in 10 chance of that. Seems about right. Like maybe if you're really lucky, that's all it'll take. But I wouldn't count on it. Does that seem about right to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna roll a d10, and if you happen to get the 10 on this, then awesome. It turns out that's all it took. Um, like he did just need somebody that was trying to like not necessarily that you do it right now, but I'm figuring out like whether or not that's possible, and then I'll
Okay.
make you like if it's possible, we'll make a roll. But
Okay.
let's see. It almost landed on the 10, actually. Like, looking at the 3D die that rolled, 10 is right next to 6, and, like, it almost landed on that. But no, the 1 in 10 chance didn't work. Like, clearly you give what is way more than reasonable to wake up any kind of regular person, at least through sound, and it's clearly not working.
All right. Clang my sword on the bars. Just slam it.
As a way of, like, trying to make noise, or are you trying to, like, break
Yeah.
the... Okay. I wasn't sure if you were trying to, like, break the bars or something. Um, yeah, I think due to the results of that roll, like anything that's just like being loud is probably not gonna cut it. But we see you kind of
Okay.
trying and learning this. And
All right. Can I? Is he within reach of me? Can I like
um,
touch him?
let's give that a 50-50 chance. Because again, these cells aren't very big, so maybe. Um, let's find out. So let's say even you can reach him from where you are. Odd, he's too far in for what you've got currently. Let's see. There we go. Hey, even. So yes, you can reach him.
Okay.
If you, I think it's
Um.
probably a bit of a like you have to probably like really reach in for him, but like, but you can indeed you can reach him from where you are, and definitely
Okay.
if you use like your sword or something in your hand or something.
Okay. Um. So I want to reach in and kick him in the nuts. Um.
Wakes all of them,
I want to
everybody
see
up.
if I can get my hands to glow again and see if by me touching him, like I grab his arm and see if that does anything.
Okay. Um.
I'm still learning about these glowing hands.
Yeah. I feel like because of being so like still learning with him, like even getting him to glow in the first place is probably its own kind of role.
Yeah, like I can barely see anything as it is when.
Yeah. So like I feel like maybe that's like a wits face danger. Like because this magic is so wild, like anytime you try and force it out, there's always a chance something goes awry. Um,
Mhm.
when trying to make it more prominent. So if that makes sense to you anyway.
Yeah,
It's kind of like,
definitely.
yeah, a measure of like your
Well,
mental
I'm
energy to try
definitely.
and like concentrate and like get the because you have certain feelings and thoughts. Like you've started to develop a little bit of like the patterns of what it's like when they glow more. So there's something you can latch onto. But
Mhm.
okay, let's uh let's make that wits roll for you. Okay. You rolled well, but it is sadly like one of the dice also rolled really well. We got a weak hit out of it, um, which means you'll succeed but face a troublesome cost. Which is there? It's specific. It's specific in what that means. Basically, one of your trackers is going to go down, whether it's your health, your momentum, your spirit, or your supply. Like it costs something along the way. I could definitely
Okay.
see like it's an exhausting enough mental energy that it takes that like your spirit kind of goes down a bit. Like it,
That's what I was thinking.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I think it's like you can do it, but like it's so taxing on just like your mind to concentrate like that.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah.
you manage to get them like the magic is flowing forth more freely without otherwise getting like it's not arcing all over the room or causing damage or anything. It's just keeping that in check is costing you. Um, and from that point, you said you wanted to use it with him, like try and like shake him
Yeah.
with that, or
Especially if he's a wizard. Well, I don't know he's a wizard, but
yeah,
like
yeah,
I
but
imagine
we
it would
know.
affect him. Yeah, I would imagine it would affect him somehow being magic and
Right, and similarly, since we learned about your hands, the way they kind of interact with other magics, like we were just witnessing
Mhm.
that. If there's magic that's keeping him asleep, like who knows? Like maybe it'll do a similar sort of maybe it'll interact in a strange way. Um,
Yeah.
that might manage to dispel it or launch it off him or whatever. But importantly, that feels like another kind of like this feels important enough to make a roll out of it. Um, to see how well you can do that. Oh, real quick before I do that, we do need to make you do an endure stress move just to like you got a little bit of that mental shock of like trying to hold on to this. We just need to see how well you take that. Um,
Okay.
actually, wait. Let me make sure maybe make sure that's right. Yes.
Good night,
Okay.
Ethereal.
Good night. All right. Roll spirit or heart, whichever is higher. Your spirit is a +4, which is great. So I'm gonna just tell it to roll heart with a +1 because that'll be the same thing. And let's see how well you take this. All right. Another weak hit, which means yeah, kind of like when you got a weak hit on the health, like it happens and we
Mhm.
move on. Nothing interesting happens. Just
Yeah.
nothing good, nothing bad. Um,
Okay.
but now, okay, so you're trying to rouse him. Again, a catch-all face danger is probably what's closest to this. Like, we just need to figure out like what stat makes the most sense for this. Um, oh, you know what? You know what? It probably should have. Last time it probably should have been a secured advantage as opposed to face danger. I guess either one makes sense. Doesn't matter.
Mhm.
So let's see which one sounds closest. So you're doing something risky. Is this with speed, agility, or precision?
It's definitely dangerous.
Yeah, charm, loyalty, or courage. Aggressive action, forceful defense, strength, or endurance. Which I definitely don't think it's that. Like, sure, you're like shaking him, but I don't think it's not the like iron of like how hard you can shake him that's important.
Yeah.
Deception, stealth, or trickery, or expertise, insight, or observation. I feel like, again, it's probably a wits thing, because it's not the physical action that's important so much as like the way you can channel the magic to try and do what you want to like disrupt his. So yeah, let's just make another. Let's have you do another wits face danger, and if this works, then I think this is definitely another milestone on discovering the meaning behind your glowing hands. Like if you're able to, for the first time, like actively try and use the magic in your hands to do something, like it's a pretty big moment.
Counteracting magic.
Yeah, I mean the magic of a wizard, and also you're waking a wizard who might be able to tell you more about this. So like,
Yeah, that's true.
so yeah, let's get a wits roll. All right, another weak hit, which again, like these are this is the well, that's the result it's the result that's really supposed to happen most often. Like it's balanced to make sure that you're usually getting weak hits, unless you have the ability to use momentum on your side to like counteract it. That's probably going to happen a lot, and it's good. Weak hits are like the default assumption. It's not too bad.
Okay.
A weak hit on face danger. Well, it's the same as last time. Like you're going to succeed, but there's some kind of cost that we get. Let's see. It could. If you're
So maybe you wake. Do you think he wakes up at this point?
Well, yeah, you do succeed. So like, I think you're able to. I think it's like before with the door. Like it's some way that like because you're controlling this glow, you find this way to kind of like. You do it like before. Like the hand is nearby, just enough to kind of start like making like this vibration in the magic that's there. That then it's like a reverberance that gets stronger and stronger until it eventually crosses like a little bit too far over towards like the aura of your hand, and then like circles around and like you're kind of able to pull almost like a thread that you're unspooling, like this magical energy that's keeping him in this sleep stasis. Now, what's weird about that is we have to consider, you know, his continued sleep made this like dream realm here that's now taken a life of its own. Like, what does it mean now that he's waking up?
Those creatures are going to lose their sustenance.
I feel like I feel like it's a world that's going to start like tearing itself apart. Like I think it's around for now, but like the time where how long it's going to exist is probably limited. Like that world is going to start like waking up and coming apart.
That's going to make it more dire to get Flint's dreamlike state.
As somebody who exists only in that dream world and has no physical body, yes, I think this is very dire, but it makes sense in the fiction. But yeah, and so drawing enough of this energy from him, he wakes up. But we need to figure out what kind of consequence there was from this. It could again just be more of like. I guess his stress is more supposed to be if you're dispirited or afraid. Tired or hurt is the endure harm, so it might be more like harm than stress. But we'll leave it the way it was from before. Oh, but you know what it could be? We were just describing how like him being awake is going to have all sorts of new effects in this world that kind of affect the narrative. And you are delayed, lose advantage, or face a new danger, suffer -1 momentum. I think the new danger of that dream realm is going to crumble and have its own unforeseen effects is probably worth the loss of momentum. If that makes sense to you.
Wait, explain it again.
So like if we have you lose momentum, it could be one of the options on there is like basically there's some new danger that's being faced. That's why like the momentum is going down a little bit.
Okay,
and
yeah,
so
that
like
makes sense. Yeah,
there's this new danger of like, oh shit, there's this whole other realm is going to start crumbling, and what does that mean? And the questions behind that undermine some of your just like personal progress. I think I got another one in me. Maybe. But this wizard wakes up and starts just like shivering and twitching in a at first, but then hey Fromage, thank you. Shivering and twitching at first, but eventually like the eyes just dart open and like turns over and he's clutching this wound. I think he starts loudly moaning in this terrible pain, and like lifting his hands that are now kind of like covered, starting to get coated in like a sort of fresh blood that hasn't flown in just ages and ages and ages.
Oh dang.
But there's like this wound. Oh, this could also be why the momentum. This kind of danger. This wound is kind of freshly coming back to life and beginning to bleed on its own. And I think his eyes eventually make out in the darkness, like as they adjust to being able to see again. He starts seeing that glow in your hands and assumes your ability to like you're here to help him, and just starts holding his hands out to you and just goes, "Please, you must help me. I can't last much longer."
Oh, dang. I just kind of look lost. Like I don't know what to do. What do you? I might have some herbs that would stop the bleeding.
You might.
Maybe I start.
You do have this. You do have this herbalist path, which could be helpful.
Okay.
I think the big trouble right now, however, is like it's going to be hard. I would imagine it would be hard to treat him with like the bars in the way. Like possible, but it's probably the type of thing where it'll make it more difficult to be successful, just because it's just hard to work through all those bars in the way. But if you're able to get that open, you could avoid that that kind of negative. Is the way I see it anyway.
All right. So let me focus on getting the door open. Is there like a lock, like a?
Yeah, I think it would be just a traditional kind of lock. This is in the end, it was a kind of jail cell.
Okay.
It turned very magical, but was initially this mundane thing. I think we just got the kind of traditional heavy iron bars and closed door with a big open keyhole in it.
Okay. I guess I just start hacking away at this at the lock. Oh wait, I wouldn't. I don't know.
Could similarly try and there's a chance maybe the keys are around or something, and you could find them.
Yeah, I start searching for the keys, I think, and ask the wizard, "Are there keys? Where are they?"
Ooh, that actually sounds like a good way that maybe do a secure an advantage by like you're gaining the leverage with charm of like getting that information out of him to then help you when you actually do the move where you try and find him. So yeah, let's start with that one. Let's have you do a secure an advantage with charm. So this is going to be a heart move, which is good. And I think this is almost certain to go well for you because you're like his only chance at survival. This is information he would want to give you. I think it's more about being able to assure him enough. Like the reason we're making a roll out of it is because he's got to be assured enough that like he can keep it together while he's under all this stress to give you useful information and not just be like moaning and like and like. But if you can kind of phrase it in such a way that keeps his eyes on the prize. But I think I would give you at least I think I'm going to give you a +1 on this, though, above the usual, just because, like, he is very desirous of giving you this information. He wants to help you if he can.
Okay. Yeah, 'cause I don't think I discovered that my hands can heal yet. I don't remember that.
I thought I
I
remembered there was a
I
time where
healed with the herbs.
I thought I
But
remembered that after we had when you patched me up after that worm, I thought the hands helped out a little bit or something. I can't. I may be mistaken though.
maybe I was just like holding the herbs
Holy
onto him,
shit!
and
Despite that, when I was like, "Oh, there's like no way it's gonna go wrong," that's actually a full-on miss.
no. So there's no keys.
Well, no, this was on you trying to get him to help you. Thankfully, this was just the secured advantage.
Oh, okay,
So it's
gotcha.
not too bad.
He just doesn't want to help. Maybe he's in that much
But
pain.
that's the thing is, I think he's just in that much pain that he can't. You can't get him to focus enough to give you the kind of information, because he just can't get it out. So it's just a failure on that regard. So he can't help you, but maybe you'll just be able to find it on your own.
Okay, I just typically keys are like hung on a wall somewhere
Yeah, you start looking around in the places
where the guard is.
that makes sense. This is definitely a gather information. You're searching an area for with wits. Okay. And let's see. Okay, no, Wayfinder is for something. I was like, you can find your way to the keys, but that's not how that works. So I'm gonna make a wits roll with, and
I'll just use the sun.
yeah, it's in this dark place that's being lit entirely by my glowing hands. The sun. There we go. Strong hit. So not only are you going to get those keys,
Yes.
so you very quickly, I think, when you're looking around, like, you know where you should be looking for them. They're far away. They're in the dark. It takes a little bit of feeling around, but your hands, that kind of glow them up. You see like a glint of the. What color do your hands glow, by the way?
They're like a faint bluish color.
Faint blue. So yeah, you that blue kind of reflects off something in the darkness. You follow it. You're able to find this very old set of keys that have just been hanging over there. Yeah, there's one set that was apparently left behind. So you also get to have +2 momentum.
Yay!
As you now very clearly have the way forward to like get him unlocked. It's momentum is on your side, so let's shift that up to the +4. And yeah, so you can easily, the keys are meant for the lock. You can get it opened up and try and get this guy healed if, since you were saying that was what you wanted to do next.
Okay.
So you said you trying to use like some herbs and stuff to like stop the bleeding, or
I do have a type of herb that does stop the bleeding, so I'm gonna start applying that. Like
it helps like coagulate and
yeah,
helps you just slow things down to clot. And
but it definitely depends on the wound. Definitely depends on how big it is.
Yeah, I think this is maybe the type of thing where it's just like, it's not a huge opening, but it's like really deep, and so like
okay.
So it is the way I'm envisioning it. Like maybe he almost like he either got like pierced with something, like one way or another, this deep piercing that's in his chest. But there's a heal move, and your herbalist is going to help you out on this. So you're going to get to use your wits, and since you're using herbal remedies and you have at least +1 supply, you can choose one of these things before rolling. So you can either add another +2 to the roll, or on a hit you'll get to heal him by an additional 1 health. My recommendation, considering we're not exactly tracking his exact health anyway, is just take the +2. Like, it doesn't really matter exactly what his health is. He's not a real character, so that would be kind of wasted to take the other option.
All right, we'll take the +2.
I mean, I guess if you were to take that option, at least narratively, we could have it be all the more clear, like he, because of how much more he was treated, like maybe you could leverage that into him being especially grateful. But the +2 makes it all the more likely you'll just be successful to begin with. So
Okay.
So here we go. Another wits roll with a +2 in there. Got some momentum just in case, though it's unlikely that you actually. Yeah, I don't think it's at all possible that the momentum will help you yet, just because of how many things you're going to be adding to this roll anyway. But okay, yeah, weak hit. Oh, just barely too. It's just that asshole of a challenge die was just really high. You got a full on 9 on that, but that just tied one of the dice. And oh well. But hey, a weak hit is still something. You can. Okay, if he has the wounded condition, he can clear it, which I think, yes, he would definitely have the wounded. So he's no longer wounded in that mechanical sense, even though, again, he's not a real character, so it doesn't really matter. You can give up to +2 health, but you're going to have to either suffer a little bit of supply or a little bit of momentum. So, like, it might eat up a little bit more of the herbs that you've got to just have to use it, and so you lose out on some supply.
Yeah, I would say that. Definitely eats at that supply.
It's a bad. It's
only have so much.
It's a bad wound. Like if
it's a deep wound, it's gonna take a lot of that.
Yeah, there's a lot of just adjustments along the way and getting it to maybe certain things don't take it first, and it's hard to got to do a lot of pressure and losing things in the dark, and it's difficult to not just. It's difficult to get done. It's a perilous situation, but you made your way through it. So. Okay. You've stabilized this wizard, who probably over a little bit of time, eventually kind of, it takes a little while. You calm him down, kind of bandage him up. You're here in this cell with him. The door is open, obviously. And it's not like the door's gonna slam shut and now you're stuck in jail. But
that would suck.
Hold on to those keys tightly.
Yeah.
At least so far in this game, I've never had bad luck by holding on to keys very tightly and not wanting to let go of them. That was from a different session where that went very poorly for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
oh, no.
The magic key and my greed at wanting to hold on to it was basically why I'm dead now. But
no.
But yeah, so I think that's definitely done a good amount towards charming him towards you.
I hope so.
Yeah, you saved his life. I think he says something along the lines of, what is the name of my savior? That's a wound that's been bleeding for... God, what year is it? How long has it been?
I don't know what the year.
Yeah, I mean, you tell him whatever.
I tell him.
Yeah, obviously you would know, but when you communicate this information, his eyes just grow wide. It's like, it cannot be. It's been over 1,000 years that's been bleeding.
Whoa.
And he moves his arms a little bit, and you hear the cracking of his clothes as they start just splitting open from the strain and are clearly starting to release a little bit of dust. And I think he has to take it in for a little bit, becomes a little bit unresponsive and inward, where he just is struggling to comprehend just that amount of passage of time that he's been here in this cell, and starts kind of murmuring, have I really been dreaming for 1,000 years? Oh, and I feel like since he's awake and has been awake for a little while, I feel like you should have some amount of the pull that's been driving you down towards sleep, now that he's awake and the spell is gone, I think that should be dissipating.
Yeah.
Like that
I
was
feel
that
a
was the
bit
reason
more.
why that magic was there, and like it's probably still like
Yeah.
it's been here for so long, it's not immediate, but like it's weakening.
Yeah, I start to notice more clarity. Like,
Yeah, it's easier to
um,
hold on to. You're not constantly fighting those eyelids.
mhm.
But
um,
what is what is your name?
I'm Grae, sir.
We need to give this guy a name. I've got a let's roll on the name table for him.
Rasputin.
I don't want to literally call him Rasputin, but
Raspy.
I've got a
In honor of Rasputin.
I do have a table here with that is full of suggested names. And let's see. I'm not going to roll on the Ironlander names because he's not an Ironlander. He's been here long before our people came over. So he should have culturally a very different kind of name. Because he's probably from the people that became the Broken. He's not broken himself because he kind of didn't live through all of those events, but let's see, where's this? There we go. Yeah, not Ironlander name, but okay. I've got a table that I'm gonna roll on. I'm using the table that is ordinarily used for the Varu, which are like werewolves. He's not a werewolf. I'm saying that right now. He's not, but like I want to give him just a very culturally different kind of name, and I feel like this will accommodate that. So we're gonna roll a D100. We have an 86, which makes him Muko.
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 All right.
Muko.
Muko the wizard.
Hi. I am Muko the Arcane. And after so many years, it's hard to remember it all. I can't remember why. What held me here? What made this all come to be? Who was I that gave me such a dismal existence? What brought me to live out my years, 1,000 years in a jail cell? What even is this place?
You don't remember?
It's been too many ages. It's all... I've been elsewhere for so long. All I
You're in a cave.
All I remember is what was beyond. There is another place here. And this would immediately remind, like Flint was telling you about this before. Once he started getting these impressions of the place of like the Dreamstalkers, like there is another place, a veil that formed over here. It is here, but it is not here. And I have been... My mind has been there for all of this time. Only somewhat aware of the world. It's like the opposite of a dream. Or the opposite of when you wake up from a dream and you can't remember anything. Now it's more like I've been dreaming this whole time and I wasn't aware of it while it was happening, but now that I'm awakened, the memories and what it was like there are coming to me. It was a place of shadows and darkness where I had to hide for all this time. There were sometimes others there, though they did not last long. Did I? Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, was one of them my travel companion?
What was he like?
He was a warrior in his, I would say, maybe in his 50s.
Yeah, it was something like that. Um, it is
I'm trying to find him.
it is possible. I cannot say for sure, but he may have found his way in there. Though for your sake and his sake, I hope not long ago. Um, which I think would also count as another milestone towards find out what happened to Flint. Like you've got this idea of what's this direction to head in. Of like, there's a chance that he's on that other side. Um,
Right.
in fact, to make that all the more likely that you would kind of think that as likely what happened, let's make him a little bit more certain. Let's
Yeah.
have him say that. I'm going to change his response a little bit to say, "When you woke me, I remember passing another. It was like as my mind left this place, I had swapped out and passed the essence of another who was heading in. As I think on him now, I have this. I can't describe it, but I have this feeling like he is as you describe, this Flint. Yes, saying this name, it feels true passing from my lips. That Flint head was headed into this dark place as I was leaving it. He is there now, I can feel it. It's as if I can remember it as it's happening now. I'm so sorry.
We have to get him back.
Um, I think that mention, like, there's a. I think that's when it finally hits him that, like, kind of like we were talking earlier about how he's awake now. That place probably won't be around very long. Um, I think when you say that,
Mm.
uh, Muko says, like, his eyes get a little bit wider, and he turns to you and says, "There is a chance that if this world where I was for all these years, it may have been a world of my making. I did not intend for it to exist, but I may have had a hand in it. And if that's the case, if I'm no longer sleeping, it may not be long for existence. You should hurry. I will likely be slowing you."
I don't know where to find him. Where is he?
Um, let's see. He is beyond. If he is in this place, as I think he must be, the fastest way to enter would be to simply succumb, fall asleep in this place. The other dreamers always wound up there. Perhaps you can find him on the other side.
I have to fall asleep?
It is how most cross beyond there. And he, like, reaches up and takes your shoulders in his hands and goes, "But be careful there. It is not safe. All those who sleep become hunted, and their bodies wither away in this world."
There's got to be another way.
If you can...
Please, I saved your life. Help me.
Yeah, let's do a compel roll. See if you can get him to come up with some other way to get you into this dream realm that it doesn't involve just like allowing yourself to fall asleep.
Okay.
It definitely sounds like you're doing it as a heart move, like charm, pacify, barter, or convince. Like you're not threatening him, you're not lying or swindling. Like, it's definitely like you're pleading with him. There's got to be another way. So we're gonna have you make a heart roll. Okay. And it's your best stat, so here's hoping. There we go. Strong hits. Look at that. Oh yeah, those challenge dice were nothing again. 1 and 2, they weren't even trying. Yeah, you rolled maximum, they rolled almost minimum. That was almost even a critical if they had just been 2 1s instead. So a strong hit on this. Good time for it. So not only is he gonna do what you want, share what he knows, and you get to take +1 momentum, and if you're using this to gather information, you get to make that move now and add a +1. And I think that's indeed exactly what's happening. Like you're using this to get him to tell you how else you can cross there. So first things first, let's get that momentum up 1 higher. Oop, moved the wrong thing. Just that. 1 higher. And oh, and I never wound up giving you that milestone on find out what happened to Flint. So let me give you that. Boop, boop. So that's starting to get a little bit filled up. And so yeah, now you get to try and see how well we can, like, what information does he have for you, which you have a +1 on. And you got a decent momentum on this, so like it's looking good. I think we might be able to end this on a nice strong we're not quite there, but like get to a good amount of like way to lead you towards me. And get our characters back together. So let's see, gather information. Is going to be another. All right, you're asking questions, so it's a wits thing. Because it's about like how you phrase things and like forming the question in a way to, yeah. So it's a wits with a +1. Gather information is just always wits. So you got your +1. Let's see. Oh, so close. It's a weak hit, and we just barely. Like, the momentum won't help you here, unfortunately. But the upside of that is that you don't have to burn your momentum, so that's good. So on a weak hit, as I recall, it is just that the information that he gives is a bit of a complication. There's a new danger involved. You get 1 more momentum, which is nice, because you know a little bit more about how to move forward, but it's not 100% a good thing. And the idea that I had, feel free to help flavor this, but like, this guy's a wizard, right? So there must be a way he can try and magic you over there, but last time he tried to cast some big magics involving this place, like, it wound up having far more reaching effects. It cast him into this sleep. Like, it's dangerous. Like, he can try something, but it very well could have some unintended consequences that he can't predict, especially weakened as he is right now and having been asleep for 1,000 years. But that he thinks he might be able to try and more safely kind of like cast a spell to send, or form a ritual to send your spirit over to the other side in a way that like you could more easily like wake yourself up when you intended to. Like, you'd be more in control of this. So you don't have to worry about like being lost to the land of dreams. But this spell could have some unintended consequences, and that he would not be able to predict. and
Maybe he sends
and it
me
would probably
in.
take an amount of time to kind of set it up. Oh, what were you saying?
Okay. Well, I was gonna try and find a way to get him over without me having to cross over, because
Oh, get Flint
I
back.
just learned that your body deteriorates.
Yeah.
And that
Well, like
sounds,
over time. What he meant, like
yeah.
eventually over the passage of time, like your body will just die, like at the rate of like it just starving to death type of thing.
Okay.
Um,
So I was just trying to think, do I want to cross over, or is there a way to get him back without having to do that? But if that's the only way, then
yeah, I don't
I
think there's a
guess.
direct way, particularly not having any kind of good link to exactly where he is or anything like that. I don't think he'd have the ability to do.
Okay.
But you might be able to at least you might be able to find him, and this way it would be kind of the equivalent of having like a tether behind you, where if things went wrong, you could always pull back,
Okay.
as opposed to the other way where it's a little bit more up to like a one-way ticket, and maybe you could find a way out from the other side, but it would not be as guaranteed. You'd have to kind of like will yourself awake, whereas this way, like, it's more like pushing a button. You'll be able to just wake up when you want to.
Maybe he sends me in with some kind of object that like attaches a spell
Yeah, that could
to
be
it.
cool.
That,
Where like you could fashion a type of thing that allows you to that would like carry over with it, because we've described in other games, like some of these, or in other sessions, that there's certain things like that fated key that wound up getting me killed, that went through to the other side. So certain things that have kinds of magic with them have been able to cross over. So maybe he could imbue something with the kind of magic that would allow that. Yeah, can incorporate
something
that in.
that maybe I have to hold in my hand. Or
Yeah, and like if you hold on to it
something.
tightly as you as he sends you over to the other, as he sends your like mental energy over to the other side, that like that object would be there with you and you'd be able to use it to get back. It's kind of like you would describe it as like a beacon.
Yeah, maybe
or
something that Flint would
as
also have to
a
grab
lifeline.
onto.
It
Yeah.
at least gives an opportunity that maybe he could come back. The trick is, of course, Flint has nothing to go back to
Oh yeah, that's
at the
right.
moment. So that'll be its own
Maybe
consequence. Well, that's kind of its own consequence when we get there.
maybe that same object is what Flint gets transferred to.
Just live inside this object for a little while. There's, given what Flint's gone through, I think there's avenues for it if you choose this path. So he thinks he could do this, but there might it's its own kind of dangers that he can't 100% predict in terms of like the spell itself. But that he thinks he could do that. Like, it's the least he could. You saved his life. He would certainly put himself out to try and do this for you, if that's your wish. But he stresses how, like, but my warning is very sincere. I don't know what will come of this decision, but I will face it if that is your choice.
That is my choice.
All right. Well, I'm gonna just, since he's an NPC, I'm not gonna have him make a roll, or like he's not making a move here, but we should totally just roll directly on the Mystic Backlash table. Like he's doing a ritual. We're gonna find out what happens as a result. But like it will work. Like he fashions this thing. He gives you this sort of, like he'd probably just need. It's not like he would make a device so much as like take an existing object and imbue it with a kind of energy. So I think he says to you that in order for this to work, it needs to be something with a sentimental value to, something that anchors you to who you are as a person. Do you have anything with you, that a totem or a charm, something you carry around that is meaningful to you? to help. It'll serve as an anchor.
I do have a necklace that has like a very small bottle that was given to me by my foster mom.
Yes. Yes, this would work perfectly.
It doesn't have anything in it, but
He says, "It will." And he like holds his hand out for it.
it's very dear to me. I would give it to you.
Oh man, if this backlash winds up destroying this necklace, that's
It's
that's
got
gonna
like
be a
a
real
little
shame.
tiny vial.
Yeah, a little vial.
On a chain.
And you say it's empty?
It's empty. It used to have something in it, but Aga just said find something special to put in it.
Yeah.
But I never did.
So yeah, he starts incanting in this long lost language. He starts speaking in the language of the broken. Which yeah, I suppose maybe it's a little bit weird he's been able to talk to you this entire time, but magic. They'll say something like he spent those 1,000 years in the dream realm where he probably heard other people that were captured in there, and the language evolved, and due to magic he was able to absorb it, and he knows the language. We'll just hand wave it that way. But then there's this older language that he's incanting in order to bring forth this magic, and these intricate hand motions. It's very much a classic kind of wizardry, and that you would expect. Like you'd have to like go to school to learn these kind of hand motions, and it ends in him just like blowing this kind of essence into this vial that it has a white glow to it, and when he gives it back to you, we're gonna see what is the backlash here, as of what happens through this spell. Oh my god! You inadvertently summon a horror. Okay, so there's this energy that he breathes out.
He really is rusty.
This kind of, yeah, this life that he's breathing out into it, I think, like before, it kind of bursts out in a wider energy than anticipated. And all of those dead bodies that had slumped in their sleep in the wall in the bars start animating in this unlife. The energy is giving them this kind of strength and like rattling against the bars in a way that's clearly like in time they will bust through this, and
oh my gosh,
you can go through to the other side, but who knows how long they will be left. Who knows how long before they break out of those cells, and at the very least he doesn't have the energy to move anywhere right now, so he'll be left behind. So you have not moved over to the other side yet. You have that ability at any time, though. What do you do with that information? Actually, hold on. No, we're at 9:53. I think that is the perfect moment to go out on.
Damn it!
You have the ability at any moment now to indeed move over to the other side and try and find Flint over there. But yeah, these creatures are coming to life. They're violently shaking against these bars. And who knows how long it will contain them. So yeah, that is session 6 of Ironsworn, where we finally got to see a little bit of what did this whole intervening time look like from Grae's perspective. How is she going to get back to... So my intent is that next time, Flint and Grae will be back together. I think that we'll find a way to... We'll get you over to the other side. We'll find each other, and then that'll probably happen with not a lot of rolls. Next time, just we'll get back together and then take it from there and figure out what do we do about this now that there's all this danger.
Zombies.
Yeah.
It had to be zombies.
Hey, but at the very least, we've got there's the door you had to pass through that at one point was rather sealed. Granted, all that magic's
true.
gone now, but at least it's a big, heavy door.
True. Maybe I can
Yeah.
slam it behind. But I don't want to leave the wizard behind. But these things are.
There's going to be some choices to make next time. But that's all the time we have for this time. Figure we should sign off though. So Blink, tell us a little bit about where else can we see you online?
You can find me at my channel on Twitch, Blinkinfirefly. Come watch me sing lullabies and play piano and ukulele.
All those things.
It's always a good time.
I assure you, all those things are true and good times. And then I am, of course, right here on this same channel, Midnight Jester 8. Curse you for not having just Midnight Jester available. But Midnight Jester 8, obviously these videos, you might be watching them just on YouTube right now. They all go to YouTube. I'll try and have it up by tomorrow night. Usually the process is that I got to do a little bit of... I got to get it kind of trimmed off and re-exported. And then that runs for a little while, and then I have to go to bed. So by the time I get back from work tomorrow, I then usually get it uploaded. So by tomorrow night, there should be this session on there. But the previous 5 are up there already on my YouTube. There's a link to that down below. And otherwise, the main stream that is around here is a cello stream. Sunday nights, 5 to 9 p.m. Pacific time. I take cello requests, and it should be a lot of fun. And
always a lot of fun.
It gets a little bit wacky. And then otherwise, there's obviously this stream on Tuesdays, 8 to 10 p.m. Pacific time. Intermittently, there are some other just like gaming streams when I feel like it during the week. Those aren't especially on the schedule, but if you hang out and follow me on Twitter or hang out in the Discord, you might catch word of when they're happening. Which is like, hey, I'm going to play some Resident Evil tonight or whatever. But
or Noida.
Yeah, or some Noida. Or there's a Steam sale going on right now. I'm probably about to get a whole fuckload of new games.
Nice.
Yeah, so it should be some good stuff. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you around next time to find out what exactly happens with this situation next time. I'm happy that we did it this way. I think it was generally a success. Because there's a bit of an experiment to indeed kind of do this sort of flashback sort of thing where, like, there's things that we know eventually happen, but it was cool. Like, I had no idea this was the form it would take.
Yeah.
Like, it was a very different direction than any amount I was anticipating of, like, how do you find your way to me? Like, did not expect this whole, like, wizard thing and all that.
Yeah, me neither.
But, yeah, we'll do that more next time. Thanks for hanging out, and
cool.
See you around.